All right, we're back. And Peeze's really surprised by the loud intro.
Yeah, you're a lot louder than Eagle.
Yeah, I know I am.
That's okay. I'm loud too.
Is Eagle louder
than
all of us?
Well, see, the thing is, I can be louder if I choose to be louder. Like, I can be very loud.
But you're not loud.
Or I can be very quiet.
So you're very quiet then. You're a quiet guy.
Yeah.
Do you not understand how audio levels work?
I'm talking about another thing.
Well, I know.
Now I have to think.
I know from Eagle that former roommate Andrew Dana was loud.
Really? I saw him actually at the cannoli bowl.
Yeah, he was there.
He was there, yeah.
Thanks for shouting me out, by the way. Literally, the first thing you said was, Eagle has 2 touchdowns.
I know.
Hello.
It was such a weird night. Anyway, that was a weird night, but we're talking about weird nights from this past week. Peeze, Della, Reeze, Eagle in the Nest, as we are now about 60% of the way completed, with about 4 weeks left, I guess, or 5 weeks, because some teams have played 6, some teams have played 5 games, so we got 6 weeks, 5 weeks left.
Yeah. So it was weird for the authors to decide when to write their midseason breakdowns. So like Iggy Magnets in Div C had most of his teams at 5 games last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of my teams only reached the halfway point this week. So I'm actually embroiled in writing the midseason report. I'm about 15 hours in. I write way too much. And then, so Eagle knows this about me is I actually write every day. And so articles tend to be when I start about 30 pages and then I pare it down to like 9 to 10.
1 page.
No, my articles are super long. My articles are 3 shits. So like a full day, your pre-work shit, your lunchtime shit, and your after-work shit. That's what I aim for.
That's a lot.
Because that's where you read the articles, right? Like I know that I've committed my life to writing things that men read with their pants off.
Yeah, you could, perhaps. So let's dive into it then, as we are now either 60% of the way in the case of Division C, as we are now at a point where we're starting to see some separation here in Peeze. As we dive into the standings, what we have left of the remainder of the season. I looked at it right now, and we have a boatload of teams at 2 wins from 7 through 10. Given that Le Santerre, Mangoose are at 1 win each, Balls Deep still 0-4-6. They could be perhaps eliminated this week if they lose this week with some wins going against them.
Yeah.
Could 3 wins be enough to qualify for a 7, 8, 9, or 10 spot in the playoffs?
Balls Deep in that weird position where even though they're not eliminated yet, they probably, because of tiebreakers, are ostensibly eliminated without knowing it. Because some teams will win ahead of them, regardless of what happens. But look, all you can do is win your last 3 games or last 4 games and hope for the best. That said, like with the way the bottom of the division is playing, I saw you ask the question, Mose.
Could 3 wins be enough?
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you said it or if I read it.
Read it, said it. We both did it. So
now both have been done. I think so, because of how many teams are making the playoffs and the disparity between the top and bottom of the division. We have 3 top teams, and then we have the next team is a 500 team, right? So like and it's what we've been talking about. It's the cream rising in the division and sort of a middle tier, and then the weaker teams sort of round it all off. So we're seeing that play out through the season. I can't imagine Top Sauce, ECW, Silent Ticklers, even Grokok even have that tie that may even play their benefit. I can't imagine any of those teams winning less than 3 games.
Yeah, right? you know, when you look at the Santerre, for example, they tied the Grokok at the last game in Brebuff, right? Their next 2 games will be against Blessed and Top Sauce. So Blessed, given they're coming off a bad loss,
and they're not happy with that loss.
No, and there's the first outdoor loss, which we'll talk about afterwards for them since they've been indoors all year.
I have some because I know them and have known them for a long time. I'll give some background as to why that even plays a role.
Factor, exactly. But you look at Santerre right now. that tie against Le Gros Coq could bite them in the backside at the end of the day, where that extra point could be the difference of them jumping Silent Ticklers or ECW.
It's a tie that plays more as a loss for Les Centaures and more as a win for Le Gros Coq, based on where they are in the standings.
And absolves them of tiebreakers, essentially, from that point. So I think
it'll be it'd be funny if it turns out the head-to-head between Le Gros Coq and Les Centaures, right?
Like Mangoose, for example, I think they've underachieved. I mean, for whatever reason, Peeze, like they were playing B-ballers last week. And they had B-ballers a couple of times, but they just couldn't score in the second half. And they've been an inefficient second half team this year. And now they're in a position where they're 1-4 deep in a hole. They could have easily be 3-2 at this point of the year in the dogfight for 4, 5, and 6. Then now being number 12 in the overall standings.
I learned something from, I think it was Alex Hollowak. I don't think it's how he said it, but he sort of said to break down your playbook into 3 acts for a game. So what I would do a lot of times early on, and this is obviously at a higher level that I'm currently playing, but quarterbacks that have a set of plays that they run over and over and over, especially after halftime, teams adjust, right?
Yeah.
And so what Alex Hollowak, again, Division 1, one of the top quarterbacks in FPF, taught me was, what you want to do is develop sections in your playbook where I'm going to run these types of concepts. So, for example, what I like to do is I group my spacing concepts, my ISO concepts, and then my crossing concepts. And so, essentially, when I'll see in the first half, I'll use 2 of those different concepts to make it harder for the defense to adjust. And then, based on how they adjust at halftime, I'll run 2 of 3 different groups of concepts, right? And so the thing I've noticed with Mangoose is Nick Schaefer, amazing arm. One of the tightest spirals in FPF. The ball comes in quick. He can throw downfield. But he has a set of plays that he's calling in a given week based on what he thinks your defense is going to do, and he doesn't adjust. So if you make adjustments at halftime, it'll make it difficult. If he has the better athletes, he'll win. But as you move up in the divisions, that edge reduces significantly because everyone has athletes at the end of C.
And they're the lowest scoring team right now, Mangoose in Division C.
But that's the reason. The second half starts, and Nick Schaefer is running the same kind of plays. If I could offer any input, and I don't know Nick Schaefer well, but I've played against him.
Yeah.
We're familiar with each other. I know a lot of the guys on the team. One thing I would say is sort of don't show all your cards right away and find ways to manipulate the adjustment in your favor heading into the second half. Yeah,
you don't want the offense or defense to have all the answers and you still stay with the same questions in the second half. You want to change those questions, right?
Especially as teams get more and more familiar. Like, Eagle, I know you know what I want to call in a lot of spots, so I have to challenge myself, in those games to call different kinds of things. And I think that's the next stage of development for Nick Schaefer, right?
For sure.
And then we saw that in those epic battles, let's say, between D-Boys and the Finest. Like, D-Boys specifically, Marco Mastriucci would find things to bring in on a week-to-week basis, on a game-to-game basis that he would surprise the Finest with.
Well, it's going to be the next 2 weeks be getaway separation of those teams with Les Centaures and Mangoose, and perhaps by the time we speak in a fortnight's time that Mangoose might be on the outs if they are to lose their next 2 games. And even for Santerre, with them playing, which should probably be their playing game against Top Sauce in the coming weeks here. So we'll see what happens going ahead here. But, of course, the team that saved themselves was Silent Ticklers. If they took out Bless. Now, Bless playing pretty much their entire season up until last week indoors, their first outdoor game of the year. And Peeze, in the long run of things here, because they're on a tough side of the bracket where they have Infantry now in the 1 hole, Bless is in the 2 hole, and B-Ballers in the 3. If the playoffs were to start today, B-Ballers and Bless would be on a collision course for round number 2, perhaps, unless things get upside down with the Infantry losing in a one and done.
Well, but there'd be reseeding, right?
Well, that's it, unless it gets
so
upside down, right?
Maybe it would be closer to the conference final, but they're going to have to play B-Ballers at some point to the playoffs. I have some information, though, about that game.
Yes, go for it.
So I had an inside source.
Oh, who's your source?
Well,
That's Haraprasad?
Willpower.
Or Stephen H?
Actually, no. I didn't actually talk to Steve. I spoke to him before the game.
Yeah.
And a little bit during. But Willpower plays on a team, but he's also not my source.
Let's call him either Will P
or W Power.
W Power. W Power is at Jesus Camp, so I didn't speak to him.
Is he there right now?
Yeah, he's a monitor.
I know. I remember he missed your game, right? Like 2 years ago in the final.
And he's going to be at least now because of the shifted schedule. He's missing. He's missing only regular season games.
That's all right.
So, but my source was Justin Blanchard, who subbed for
No, Jay Blanchard or
Sorry.
Justin
B.
B.
Justin B could be
Justin.
could be Justin Bieber. You know.
Justin B.
So Justin, he subbed for them this week because Kevin Smuda was hurt, and he was there at the field. And Jonathan Svetna wasn't in
That's a big
attendance. He couldn't
loss.
play. So those two are a big loss. One of the things he remarked was Jordan Pineda, his ability to make every throw against any defense was ridiculous. He's like, basically, at one point he threw, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns against cover 2 with the 2 and 4 dropping. He threw corners where the DBs were in perfect position, but it was over the corner over the DB's hands into the receiver's hands at the end of the route. Perfect timing and everything. It was the right defense to call, and it still beat them. Kevin Smoot in the second half came off the bench, went to the sideline, and was calling defense for his team.
Was he wearing like a headset and
No,
play
jeans.
sheets?
He was wearing denim.
Oh, not the those winter jackets that seem winter jackets.
No. He didn't have the Bill Belichick sleeveless hoodie either.
He didn't have that going on for him.
But no, and Justin Blanchard said of Kevin Smuda, he said, dude is like the leader's leader. Like he knows how to command a group, and he helped sort of settle them down when Stephen Harper-Sawad made a few mistakes. Stephen Harper-Sawad threw his first 3 interceptions of the season, which means Peeze wins the bet. But I'm actually sad to see this because I'm friends with Steve. It sucks that this happened because he's my buddy, you know.
Well, Smuda has quite the influence on this show, forcing us to change his team name to the actual name. So
yeah, flooding Illini.
Finding Lini.
Illini.
That's the one.
But
that's so much worse.
But I still think for Blessed, it will come down to that last game against Infantry. They're at 1 loss. Infantry's still undefeated. If Blessed were to take out Infantry, that means they would have the tiebreaker over Infantry and B-Ballers, and that ends up being a 3-way tie. I believe, Eagle, they would have the edge because of the head-to-head, or is that still up in the air?
In a 3-way tie, we don't count head-to-head.
So it's a points differential then.
No, it's points against.
Points against. So in that case, Infantry...
There's like 7 criteria.
Well, but there's no divisions, so there's no divisional record. It'll come down to points against. Basically.
So right now, Infantry, I believe, has the best defense. They have given up the least amount of points. So... yes, it's not the best scenario for Blessed because they could end up on the same side of the bracket as B-Ballers unless things go upside down with the playoff picture here. But look, if they get back Svetna and Smuda for the next game, I think they should be A-okay. And look, we look at Sheeesh. They are in the middle of the race right now. They have a 2-game stretch where they played Blue Dreamers and Infantry.
Yeah.
So they play Thursday in Brossard. Dreamers against Sheesh. Who needs this victory even more on Thursday?
Well, Blue Dreamers have an extra loss. So by definition, they do. And Sheesh
has a game in hand.
Sheesh has a game in hand, and they've been playing better. So they've scored about 30 points in the last 3 games. So like they actually, other than the first game where they just couldn't keep up with B-Ballers, they've been a consistent scoring team, and they've been consistent with the points allowed. Again, it's just the top tier teams have put a bit of a beating on them in that they allow B-Ballers to score 51 and Blessed score 52. If you look at the rest of those games, though, they won 28-20, 30-27, and 31-19, and they're games where they basically controlled the game. So they're not going to be that top tier team, but I'm not surprised if they finish 7-3. The challenges they have left are the Infantry week 8, obviously, and to your point, Blue Dreamers, who I think. Those 2 teams, Sheesh and Blue Dreamers, to me, are the best 2 of that
next
second
wave.
tier of teams.
Yeah, next wave.
Can I play a little bit of False Kings over here?
Yeah,
go
False
for it.
Kings. It's my favorite game.
So that Infantry game, I know the Infantry are 6-0. They have the 4th easiest schedule in Division C.
There we go.
So it's not saying
False
much
Kings,
about those 6 wins so far.
So maybe they might lose in 2 weeks.
Can I play False Kings number 2?
Yeah.
B-Ballers 5-1. They have the 2nd easiest schedule.
There we go. And this is removing the games they played against the opposition.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. So what about Sheesh and Blue Dreamers? I have a feeling that they're
They're literally about the same. Yeah, so Sheesh is about 52% win rate, and Blue Dreamers is 49%. So they're
Where's that
literally
rank?
like 5 and 6 on the rankings.
So when I look at
that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
I think when you see the depth of Sheesh, they have pretty good depth. Liberati's pretty good in what he does. And when I see how they played, I've score capped a couple of their games this year. I mentioned this to you a few weeks ago, but Andrew Langbert's quarterback play has not been great. I think when you look at, again, for what they've done so far for Blue Dreamers on the flip side of the coin here, they got some game breakers, but the question now for them moving forward into this game, because this probably will determine who will be your 4 seed in this playoffs, is can they get better quarterback play than what they've gotten so far? Because our boy, and you know who our boy is, gentlemen.
Who's our boy?
Joe Flacco.
And Joe Flacco?
Alessandro Barzoni.
Okay. I forgot that was a comparison.
I didn't know what you were referring to either.
We did a whole comparison
Yeah,
of,
I just forgot.
of Flacco and Barzoni.
I forgot. But look.
Flacco's irrelevant, so I figured.
Exactly.
But look, Langberg, like I said, the games where he wasn't playing against the top tier competition, and even when he did put up 42 against B-ballers. So, and we'll move on to Barzoni. But
no, he did. But I think for Barzoni, I mean, he was befuddled. He was bamboozled when I call him Flacco. Hasn't played well since that comment by yours truly.
So it's all about you, Mo, right?
It's
your
all
ego.
about me when I
it's
call
not
him.
his. It's not the competition he's playing against.
I'm in his head.
Right.
I'm in his head. He sees my face when he's making that throw down the sidelines to AJ Gomes. But
respect the ego, not the competition.
But you know what? If they do win this game, Blue Dreamers against Sheesh has that game in hand here. Essentially, they put themselves a game and a half up on Sheesh for that 4 spot, and then you have shit still having around who have played 5 games themselves, who lost to Sheesh last week here. So there is a bit of a triangle action going on here between these 3 teams moving forward. Who needs to win this badly this week, regardless of where they stand right now in the Div C conference levels?
Who needs a win overall?
Overall, like a badly needed win this week, regardless of who they are. It could be Infantry, it can be the Grow Cock, it could be Easy W, it could be Silent Ticklers for all I care.
I say Easy W or Top Sauce. The reason I'll say this about Top Sauce, I was worried once Pat Jason took over, just because it's the highest level he's thrown at, and Div C looks to be very competitive this season. I thought their season was done. But Pat, as he often does, has proved me wrong. And he's played well enough. Now, I know they just got blown up by Lego Cock. But they have Infantry this week. I don't expect them to win that game. But they then play, to me, 2 winnable games against Les Santons and Mangoose. If they win those 2 games, it guarantees them a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think 4 wins good.
So I don't know if you're asking who needs to win this specific week.
Yeah,
it's not. This is not the week that they're gonna win anyway. But if you're asking about in close proximity, I'd probably say Top Sauce within the 2 weeks after that. They definitely need to win at least one of those 2 games. EasyW has Silent Ticklers before they play B-Ballers and Sheesh. Silent Ticklers, it'll be tough for them, but if they haven't been, Silent Ticklers haven't been sharp week in, week out.
Yeah.
So if they can get the surprise win there, it sets them up to basically guarantee a playoff
I'll
spot.
say this quickly before we get to Alexi Dubois coming up right now. Since July 23rd in the second half, when Top Sauce was up 36-26 against B-Ballers, they've been outscored 59-0. Lost 39-0 to the Grow Cock, and they were outscored 20-0 in the final 10 minutes of that loss to B-Ballers. So they have to get that offense going for sure.
Yeah. But again, it's a quarterback playing the division for the first time.
We are now joined by the Dean of Co-Ed, Alexi Dubois. Mr. Prime Minister, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, Mo. How are you doing?
Is he a dean or a prime minister? They're
He's
different
both.
things.
He's both.
He's both.
He's both.
He's both.
We'll call him the Prime Minister from now on.
All right.
Prime Minister, again, how you been, sir?
Not bad. I'm at the cottage right now looking out onto the lake, which is lovely. How are you doing?
That's what the Prime Ministers do, right? They look at cottage at the lake view from their cottage.
Is this the same cottage where you had that really ugly orange sweater and you're making a weird face? So this is a stock photo I have of you.
It's the
Same
picture we have on
one.
the screen right now.
Perfect. Yeah, same one.
Awesome.
All right, Alexi, let's dive into it. We're more than halfway through co-ed this year. Your thoughts on how this division or divisions have played out so far with Tier 1 and Tier 2?
Sounds good. So let's start in co-ed 1. Just keep things simple. So co-ed 5 to co-ed 1, co-ed 2. There's a few crossover games, but essentially, come playoff times, it'll be co-ed 1 and co-ed 2. So in co-ed 1, this is going to sound boring, but, Power Rangers and Third Down for What are clearly our two top teams. This year, what I really like about Third Down for What is their increased depth. They've always had some stars on the team. You think Sarah Parker, the Murphy brothers, Alexi Gaumont. But this year, if you look up and down their roster, there's not a single player who's really a weakness. Most games, Alexi Gaumont is the person who has the least receiving yards on their team, or maybe Kevin Lubin. And if I'm on a team where Kevin Lubin or Alexi Gaumont are my two worst receivers, not to say they're bad receivers, but if they're my two worst receivers on the team, I'm sitting pretty happy. So that's what I really think has made a difference in the team this year. It's allowed them to take that one next step. Now, that being said, as good a team as Third Down for What I've always had, I've always sat here halfway through the season. Generally, halfway through the season, Third Down for What are exactly where they are now. Undefeated, great season. Sarah Parker's playing amazing, and generally they go on to lose the final to Power Rangers. So I don't think we can act like this season is anything different from the usual until they play Power Rangers in the regular season, which I think is coming up this week. Power Rangers this year, I think, have taken a step back from before. I think a large part of that is because they don't have Alex Pilon. So, one Pilon is great, two Pilons is amazing. But, they only have one Pilon.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, if you're having a chicken, you want to have both the pilons off of both those chicken legs. And
or else
one,
he's limping around, dude.
It doesn't quite fill you up. Exactly. And that's kind of how Power Rangers feel this year. I've always known Power Rangers a team that uses the girls and the women on their team the most throughout co-ed. And this season, they're not holding that title down. I could look at the stats and give you an exact answer. But if you look through their box scores, which I have every week, there's nothing jumping out of there. I believe it's Jasmine Farmer and Constance Miller on this roster, but don't quote me on that because my memory isn't great. And they haven't jumped out at me one week. They haven't, posted a 60-catch game for a 60-yard game for 3 touchdowns or something yet. And I think that's probably where they're missing a little bit. So maybe without the second leg of the chicken, i.e. the second Pilon brother, they're probably other defenses can probably focus in a bit more on the women of this team and force, the ball out to their lower level receivers, which is, I think, what's hurting them. Now, that being said, Power Rangers have lost the Third Down for in the regular season. They've finished 6-2 when co-ed was an 8-game season, and they've still wound up beating Third Down for What in the final. So I entirely see a situation possible where Third Down for What beat Power Rangers twice in the regular season and still find a way to lose them in the final, because that's just what we've seen for years and years in co-ed.
So you mentioned on Power Rangers that they're getting less contributions from their female players, but are there players in general, you can go female or male, who are not contributing in a way that you expected, and maybe tell us why?
Other than the 2 female players, I need to look up and down their stats, but this roster's always been pretty front-loaded. It's always been the 2 Pilon brothers killing it on offense, and on defense, it's a combination of the Pilon brothers and Wade Shawcross Jr. getting things done, and Tam Valedev is what Tam Valedev always is. I don't think I've seen, most times from Shawcross Jr., you expect him to have one or two of those 2 interception games a year, and just judging by the fact that I don't think he's been on Team of the Week yet, probably means he hasn't had 2 interception game yet. So if you're looking at a player who can step up and take the next step to bring Power Rangers to the next level, it wouldn't be offensively. I think it would be Shawcross Jr. taking the next step on defense, or just getting back to where he was pre-pandemic.
Alexi, when you look at Tier 2 right now, Fantastic, it's been a close race with Fantastic Semi-Cocon, pretty much neck and neck, and Yin and Yang not far away. How do you think this will unfold going into the final few weeks of the season with Tier 2?
Honestly, no clue. I really mean that. I've been trying to predict this all season, and it seems impossible. Just when I thought Les Semi-Cocons had things wrapped up, I'm not sure if you guys have talked about this yet, but Marie-Ève Girard has been playing lights out through the first few weeks of the season. She put up, I think, 200 yards against Party Mix. She crushed Fantastic when the first time they played. She's been playing fantastic this season. And I was expecting Les Semi-Cocons to beat Fantastic this week, and look what happened. They kind of laid a duck egg. I think she went 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and it was kind of the Marie-Ève Girard we saw last season, who passed for a lot of yards and then threw a big interception in the red zone. And she seems to have gone back to that state compared to the phenomenal play she's been on so far this year. And of course, I had the praiser in the article 1 week, and the next week she comes out
I did the same
not
thing
so
on the
great. So
show.
I think the key to take away from this is
I did the
I think
same
the
thing
key
on
is
the
just
show, Alexi.
don't praise players, and they'll be good all.
Yeah, I made the same mistake. I can definitely sympathize with a quarterback who throws a ton of yards and makes a mistake in the red zone. So I sympathize with her. When we see Les Sect, they just took a loss to Yin and Yang 33-12. They've struggled since their inception in FPF. Look, we say all the time, FPF is a league where you need to learn. You're not going to necessarily be successful right away. What are the steps they need to make to start being a little more competitive?
Yeah, so I actually saw a last set game Monday night at Brebeuf. I was scorekeeping it against Yin and Yang. And before getting into the steps, just quickly, if you look at the score to get game, I think it was 33-12. Score kept it correctly. Please no stat complaints out there. If so, it was Mo who made the mistake.
Always.
There was a while in this game where I actually thought Les Sect had a chance. Not to say I thought they were going to win, but I thought it was going to be close enough so that the game was going to be interesting. Ultimately, what did them in, and I think this is Les Sect's biggest mistake, is little mental gaps. So I'll give you an idea. At the end of the first half, Yin and Yang, they have one play. Les Sect scored. Yin and Yang got the ball, one play, 40 yards to go. Weir drops back at quarterback. Matthew Peacock drops back as a second quarterback. Les Sect are playing a 1-3-5 defense. Peacock gets the ball, airs it out 40 yards to Jonathan Weir, who is standing like on an island. They pass the 40-yard incontested catch because the corner completely collapsed the other side of the field, and it was just a wide open touchdown that kind of ended the game at that point. Even though it was in the first half, when you're down 2 or 3 scores at the end of the first half, we all know this, the game's essentially over, barring some sort of miracle or Peeze throwing you 2-3 pick sixes in the second half.
Alexi, just quickly before we let you go, we know tackle football is coming up just around the corner. Do you think this will impact third down for what, given that the Murphy boys play university and stage out football and they start camps this week going forward with their regular season not too far behind?
I'm going to say no because I already talked about how deep I think the third down for what roster is, and I think they're underutilizing players like Alexi Gaumont and Kevin Lubin. So if they lose the Murphy brothers, of course, losing Division I talent isn't something any team could, just laugh at. But I think there's players who they can use more and who will step up and fill those voids.
I do like that the first time you pronounced Gaumont and Lubin, you pronounced them with the English pronunciation and then switched. It shows a lot of versatility.
Hey,
I like
the
that.
Prime Minister, man, the Dean.
It's true. That's why he's the Prime Minister, apparently.
Exactly. All right, Prime Minister, thank you very much for joining us. So you get back to your lake front, I guess.
The lakefront that looks like...
Oh, you want to put it again?
Yeah, you got to put the picture up again. It's okay, don't worry.
Eagles having an off night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Prime Minister,
I have the picture.
Have a good time. And there's a picture. There we go.
There we go.
There you go. Look at that face.
What were
scrunching
you
his
doing
eyes.
again? It looks like you're holding ice over a fire.
I think he's setting something up for ice fishing or scraping something off of something else.
So I can't see the picture, so it's pretty hard to say. But if I'm holding something over the fire, is it possible I'm roasting a marshmallow?
No.
No. It looks like it's a piece of ice, and you have.
No?
Like a piece of pizza shaped.
Oh,
ice.
I know the picture. We came up in the spring, early pandemic, and we collected maple water, and we were boiling down the maple water to make maple syrup.
Okay.
Oh, and you ended up with half an ounce of maple syrup, I imagine.
Prime Minister leading the way right now, going clean on eating. Thank you, Prime Minister. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next week, pal.
Later, dude.
Thank you. See you guys. Bye.
See you soon. Prime Minister Alexi Dubois with us. All right, speaking of Prime Minister, let's head over to Division D. And
let's give him the demo.
Let's go to D's. I actually have the menu lined up here because I know Eagle's a big fan of the restaurants. So, Arouch.
I actually got some Lama Junes at Adonis this weekend. I can't go to Laval to pick them up for the show and everything. The timing's a little tight, but I really want to get them.
There's 2 spots though, no? And, there's one in Laval, and one off the 40. No,
I walked today.
Is there one off the 40? I don't think there is. There used to be one in the Concordia building, and that was like my go-to place for snacks at the evening, and then it closed.
Yeah,
I walked over, so I wasn't able to get any because
Anyway,
took a 6-mile hike.
So the point that I'm bringing up here, Arouch.
Apparently there is one over here on Liège. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Next week.
We're gonna get this.
Okay, so should we buy into Arouch because they're 4-1 now? and their 4 wins have come against teams with a combined record of 6-16, and their lone loss was to Los Siete Amigos, which is one of the better teams in this division here. So, Peeze, I mean, and I've seen them play a few times now. I score kept their game on Monday in Brossard. They're a fun group of guys that are loud in a good way. They don't rub it in anyone's faces. They have a good time playing football here. I'll bring up a name that I'll get for you in a couple seconds here. But are you buying into Arouch and what they can do for the second half of the season?
I think that they're what we expect. They're gonna beat bad teams. They're gonna lose to good teams. And Eagle, you're gonna correct me about their strength of schedule, but just looking at it, A, they got to win by forfeit. B, I think that their wins are against teams that are around or sub 500.
6-16.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
They are like literally middle of the pack at 49%.
So I think they're a middle of the pack team. And they now go on to face Blackouts, Fighting Illini,
Say it properly, please.
Fighting Illini.
Illini.
Eleni.
Hey, I made a promise to Kevin Smuda. I won't call them.
What would he have done though? Like honestly, if we didn't oblige by,
he was. You know what?
He would get frustrated every week.
He would get flustered, right?
Man,
He would definitely.
honestly,
get
really.
flustered.
He's flustered.
Exactly.
The thing is that he asked me nicely, and I respected that. But he also didn't ask you, Mo, and he didn't ask you, Eagle.
No, because I would have said, I would have laughed at him, saying, "All right, pal, $5 to the flight bill, please."
Jeez.
So Arouch's next 5
Accepting
games
bribes
are
from Mogan.
You know,
Blackouts, Fighting Illini, PDs and Negronis, the new guys, and
Yeah.
Tuts and Parlays.
So the next
that's
Yeah.
That
that's
goes
0-5 potentially.
no,
PDs
I
and
give him
Negronis,
one.
maybe
Peeze and
PDs and
Negronis,
Negronis are really athletic. So Arouch won't have an edge going into that game, because it's a lot of those guys from the process. Ari Bazov, Ari Liberati, Jacob Boydman, Jared Rockman, Jonathan Perez, Noah Groper. Like that's a solid team.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're missing some of their top end talent. They don't have Andrew Langford at quarterback, but it's still good. So that's the easiest game you have left. That's not great.
No, and the thing is, right, when you look at Lalone, the quarterback for Arouch, he's not spectacular, but he gets the job done. That makes sense.
But he's getting the job done again. So they have not thrown an interception this season,
Knock on wood before we jinx them.
but they've only thrown 15 touchdowns through 5 weeks.
Yeah, if you look at their
but one of those games doesn't count because it was forfeit. So
Okay.
technically 4.
so
It's a 4
if
game.
you look at the
It's
game
not great
against
still.
Also, how does Rafael Major not have a games played but have stats? Sag.
Mokan,
don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Alexi.
Do something. But here's the thing, though, right? When you look at this team, they have a really good cover corner that I want to bring up right now from Arouch. Number 24 for the team, Phil Lencourt. He is really good. Like, he had a big INT against LBB on Monday.
Oh, look at that picture.
Oh, he's a good-looking guy. He really exudes the green. But I think overall, he's a guy that if this is the long term for Arouch to be in this league, he could become a very good cover corner for his position group.
I think so too. But the thing is, Arouch's strength is their athleticism, right?
That's right.
And with the games they've won, they've beaten teams that they're more athletic than, right? Like we're under no illusions about what Voodoo is. Voodoo is a smart, methodical team, but they're not chock full of burners. They have some speed guys, but generally they have guys who just play the game really well. They lost to the Siete Amigos because they don't have an athletic edge, right? The Siete Amigos are as athletic as they are. Now again, Blackouts Fighting Illini, they don't have that edge. PDs and Negronis, they don't have that edge. So I literally can see a scenario where they don't win a game the rest of the season.
Right.
And now when they go undefeated the rest of the season, Eagle, please clip that up to make fun of me constantly.
Okay, so on the flip side of things, when you look at Blackouts, they're 5-1, but they're banged up right now. They don't have their quarterback in play. They got very.
Do you know if
lucky.
he's hurt or anything? I haven't spoken to them.
They said he's banged up. That's all they told me, right? Because they played Sunday in Lachine. They're 5-1. They had, I think, 3 pick sixes against Voodoo. Voodoo to win that game.
But Blackouts, their defense is the strength of the team.
Absolutely, with Vanslat and Kazak and these guys, they're ballers, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're a strong like top tier seed now, because if they don't have the quarterback play, this might hurt them in the long term though.
And Julien Lachance, right?
That's right.
Julien's amazing. Like he's really, really, really
Yeah.
good. He's to me a guy who's like Div 3 caliber playing in Div D, and just because he's new, he's not even fully refined yet because FPF's a little bit different than I would imagine. He's played tackle, or I think he told me he used to throw he used to throw and tackle.
Yeah.
And you can see that just in his mechanics alone.
For sure.
But we've said that against who's that guy we always talked about, the Jack quarterback that always played with.
Oh my God! Yes, I know. Ryan Kroof.
Ryan Kroof, like he's like Ryan Kroof. Like it's gonna take him a second, right, to
Yeah.
get there. But like when you see him throw the ball, it's spectacular, right? And I was reminded of that when I watched them on Game of the Week, and definitely that's what gives them sort of that next level. But their defense is without him. Their defense is still the best defense in the division.
And the thing is for Blackouts now, I know below them, Arouch, New Guys, Partner Swag, and LSA, they all have played 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if Blackouts were to lose and these teams were to cash in their game played for, this really creates a real Pandora's box of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So any of those teams, Peeze, again, that's a pretty deep stacked top 5 that you have with only a combined 5 losses between those 5 teams moving forward.
I wonder why Alex DeLille is not throwing. He has a 3-to-1 lifetime, TD interception ratio. That's decent.
Yeah.
He's also a guy who's got some wheels, right? Like he can run. He's had sort of between 15 and 30 attempts running when he was quarterback.
Right.
So I don't know why they went with Matthew Kazaka. I mean, they won the game and he played fine, but like to me, the no-brainer backup quarterback would be Alex DeLille.
Right. Well, we'll find out if they get back the starting quarterback in the coming weeks. Before we get to the next topic here, Eagle, if you went to Arouch right now, what would you buy that you would make us very happy? Because I don't eat meat anymore, right? So what would he get for me if you were to buy it right now?
I usually would get the Aleppos. It's a half spicy pepper and half melted cheese. It's really delicious. Or you can get the Zatter, which is also pretty good. It's a sesame mix.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid thing. Okay, very well. Can't wait for next
I
week.
believe it's pronounced Zatar.
Zatar, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm known for mispronouncing.
I understand, but like
Yes.
your level of mispronunciation. What did you call Buster Only on Hot Sauce Sports today?
Oh, no.
Like
it
the
was
most
bad.
famous baseball writer of our
Oh,
generation.
no. What did he
It was
say?
bad. Only.
Oh, my God.
It's not even spelled that way.
No.
It's how you spell Onley. Oh, my
And
God.
who
All
else
right.
was there? Javier Baez.
Oh, Javier Baez.
Please, Javier Baez.
That said, if you want to hear Eagle mispronounce professional athletes and professional broadcasters,
That should be a
names,
segment for us.
Yeah.
Pronounce
well,
this
it's
name.
every segment of Hot Sauce Sports. So do
We'll
check
do
out
it
Hot
for- we'll
Sauce
do it for
Sports
FPF.
if you want to hear Eagle mispronounce names.
Okay, so we're not going to mispronounce this guy. Ryan Garber, is he the favorite to win quarterback of the year? Because his passing percentage is out of this world. I think 75%. I think he's third in touchdown passes. And Peeze, he's not far from you from passing yards right now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even know why this is the case. I always lead the division in passing yards. I don't understand why.
I do scorekeeper games.
No, but now the app, you need to get 40 yards per drive, right? Like
in
for
theory,
swing.
yes.
So, but the thing is that when I look at the stats, like I was talking to Justin Blanchard, and he's like, "Hey, Peeze, like this might be your first All-Star season at quarterback, right?" And then I started looking at the guys around me. I'm like, when did it get to this point where, like on pace to 44 touchdowns won't even get me a sniff? It's
How
not even
did he go
quarterback of the year.
22 for 21?
Yeah, that's gonna help his completion percentage.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, you know what? It might have been. Hold on here. Let's
He has
look.
2 interceptions. It's impossible.
Wait,
Besides the fact that he literally has more completions than attempts, he also has interceptions. God damn it.
It happens.
it's pretty bad.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It happens. It happens. But do you think
But
he?
the other ones look legit. So
Yeah, the other ones look fine. But yeah, he had 104.8% completion percentage. I wonder why he didn't message us for a stat correction for some reason.
I don't know. It's a good question.
But yeah, honestly, that and like here's the thing with Ryan Garber is, what he does on the ground is also spectacular, right? So like, we're gonna have to take what he does on the, because I'm not adding anything on the ground, right? So he may be the leader in yardage at the end of the season if you add his rushing yards as well.
Well, right now his rushing yard clip is 144 through 5, so he could perhaps hit 300 for the season.
But check it. And again, this is Div D, right? So this is Div 5. The following quarter. This is how many quarterbacks have 20 touchdowns and more, and only 2 of these guys have played 6 games. Right?
Yeah.
So Brad Evans is 24. Ben McMahon 24, and I'm not even counting touchdowns on the ground because I'm guaranteed Ben McMahon has rushing touchdowns too. Ryan Garber 22, and I think I just saw he has 23 if you add his rushing touchdown.
Right.
I have 22. Gabe Wiseman is 22. Frank K is 20. Matthew Lerner is 20. Like halfway through the season, we have 7 guys on pace to throw a minimum of 40 touchdowns. 40 touchdowns used to be quarterback of the year in Div 5, Div D.
Welcome to the new age passing of FPF here. That's why.
It's plays are getting called faster. There's more big plays happening. It's impressive. It's impressive.
Would you put odds on him, or would you put money on him right now, or would you go somewhere
Brad
else?
Evans is playing really well too, though, man. And Ben McMahon, I am going to go check the rushing tab right now. He has 2 touchdowns on the ground, so he's up there with Brad Evans right now. I'd say it's a 3-headed race right now, those 3.
So we have 3 award winners then. Okay, perfect.
Well, we'll have one. We're not splitting golds.
No.
We're not splitting golds in FPF.
No, we don't have the budget for trophies like that.
No.
Lastly, who has achieved at this point? Who's underachieved more at this point? Spears Legion or Tough Lungs?
I saw this question, and
They tied, by the way.
I know, but the question to me is nonsense because Spears Legion is playing their first season that's not in Division E or 6. So they can't underachieve. They're playing to me finally in the right division, but that doesn't mean I think they're going to dominate the division. I think it's going to take them a couple of seasons to get adjusted. I know when I went up to throw in Div 4 and then came back to now in Div D, you see the difference in speed, right? So Vince Pisano is experiencing that for the first time. And he's gonna get better as that goes. Tough Lungs a little bit, although I'm very impressed. Like they beat us. And I was really impressed with Matthew Lerner. He's come a long way from just forcing the ball to his brother. He was making all his reads. He's buying time in the pocket. He's a better athlete than you would guess just by looking at him.
Right.
I think the results are far. They're not as good as I'd expect. Eagle, what's their strength of schedule?
So if we're looking at, hold on. Let me find them on the list here. Sparrows Legion is 46.74% toughness, and the Tough Lungs is 50% on the nose.
So yeah, Tough Lungs had a little bit of a tougher schedule.
I mean, slight.
Yeah,
but I mean, I would imagine they're both middle of the pack, right?
Tough Lungs is middle of the pack. Sparrows Legion is more in the bottom half middle.
Like easier schedule.
Easier, but
so I'd say Tough Lungs because of that, because I thought Tough Lungs would have a harder schedule to have that record.
Right.
So to me, the answer to your question, the very long-winded answer to your question is Tough Lungs.
Division E, let's dive into it because we have some missiles being pointed towards us from the North Sea of the United Kingdom, and we look at certain teams here.
Yeah, Eagle, pull up the initial comments to my article,
which I had no idea.
Starting with that one?
Because you didn't tag us is the other thing.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like I'm like, who are you talking about?
Iggy Magnets told me that happened. I didn't notice because I wasn't tagged in it.
Yeah. So anyway,
so first of all, have the courage to tag us, you coward.
Well, he could, but I don't think he has this on Facebook. All right, so Eagle. So the gist of it, Vince Romano, who I guess plays for Pincellos,
he's the quarterback for Pincellos,
supposedly. Was not very happy with our analysis because he believes we're ignoring Pincellos.
Well, like me specifically, but then you got thrown under the bus with me.
Yeah, I'm like, so okay, cool, whatever.
Read out his contention.
Here you go, Eagle.
So this was comment specifically on your article that basically says, no, let's not go into his profile. That's a little bit too much of a
You messed up.
He goes, hey, Peeze, we're 4-1 in Pincellos. I gotta read this.
So okay, first of all, I'll cop to this. I made a mistake. I wrote the article when some games were already. I finished the article when some games were already played. I don't write my article in sequence, and sometimes forget to change the records once games were played. Right. And I don't think I accounted for their win at that point against Green Means Go. I don't know if that happened before or after the the article been posted.
So he says, hey, Peeze, we're 4-1, so Pincellos. I'm second in passing TDs. Our guy leads in touchdown receptions. Our guy leads in sacks. Our guy leads in tackles. Our guy leads in INTs. And all you guys talk about is Oreos, Ravens, and dilly-dilly. Not only did we smoke the Rainmakers and have the same record at 4-1, and you have them ahead in the power rankings, you and Mocon might need to step down because I think your stat reading and analyzing of games has been brutal, unless some of these other teams kiss a lot of Peeze butt.
Okay.
And on top of that, our defense has allowed 6 points in each of the past 2 weeks, and all I hear about is Ravens defense.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, if you're going to propose a sex act, I prefer to be more front-facing than backwards-facing. Second thing, to be honest, I have good relationships with most teams across the league, but it's relationships I made in the league by talking to people. In fact, one of the things you can do instead of getting up in a soapbox is message me directly and tell me what's happening in your games. I can't be everywhere. I unfortunately haven't been at a Pincellos game this season. I know I've seen Vince Romano play in the past when he played for BDR. And he's improved dramatically. He had before this season, Mo, like a very bad touchdown interception ratio, and he's got 21-5 this season. So he is playing well. Absolutely. But I wanted to point out a few things. One is, I can speak for my articles because Mo writes the script for the show. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit. The Wizard of Oz, Mo Khan, he writes the script for the show. I write the articles, right? The reason is I can't do both. I'm a busy guy, and Mo does a great job with the script. But I know I keep a running tally of how many times I write a recap of a team. Right now, Pincellos are in the lower end of that. I've recapped them once, but the most is 3. And I try to keep everyone between 2 and 4 recaps per season, but I can't control like who plays against who, right? So like it won't be completely even. I do try and keep it as even as possible. That's the first thing. Second thing, guess which one of the few teams I've mentioned every single week in my in my article.
Dilly-dilly.
Yep, but guess who's another one?
Ravens.
Actually, I think this team got mentioned more than Ravens. No, Ravens were because they were in the power rankings every week.
Is it these guys over here?
It is these guys over here. You're watching the game of the week if you're watching.
Wow,
it.
look at that.
Where they actually won the game. They actually had a great game. So do check out the game of the week with Pincellos, and it's Green Means Go. Now, I mentioned Pincellos in every article. Let's look at the things I've mentioned, Mo. You tell me what I've said that was inflammatory. Let's start with last week.
Yeah, go for it.
I started with, I'm impressed with Pincellos' defense. So he said, we're talking about
Cross the
defense.
line over there, PZ.
Literally, I'm impressed with Pincellos' defense. I will say, but I was kind of underwhelmed by Vince Romano against a team that has allowed almost 20 points a game heading into last week. An elite team would have used this opportunity to flex on the weaker squad. Now, I had also previously said this week that the front runners all underperformed this week, right?
Right.
I set that up. But anyway, maybe he just did Control F, look for his name. A lot of guys do that.
A lot of people do that.
Pincellos' Mike Appa is collecting flags like some disturbed history buff. That means he's got a lot of tackles. That's what that sentence means. I don't always write when I'm sober. I only edit when I'm sober. Week 5, Pincellos. I didn't have very high hopes about Pincellos this season. However, I'm man enough to admit I was wrong. I would like to see Jordan Farray be more involved in the offense, but you can't argue with the results. So inflammatory, right? Clearly, I hate this team.
Crossing the line.
Yeah, I'm such a dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I swore, Rob. Week 4, Pincellos. They started the game with a punt, then they forced a turnover on downs. Justin Calixte then scored, and Pincellos never looked back. They've also since beaten Brewers.
Peasy, man, you really torch these guys.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in you, Peasy.
Here's a recap. Last week I said that Vince Romano had a great QB name, but rarely lived up to the unfair expectation I created with this. It's no fault of his own. This was my reaction to reading it, and his parents found each other attractive, and before you knew it, the dude was born and given a gritty as fuck name. This week, gritty AF. I didn't swear in the article. This week, after a disappointing loss in the season opener, Vince Romano would take on Balls Deep. Both teams lost their first game of the season, but Vince Romano looked to right the ship as early as he could. The Pincellos QB connected with the understated and emerging threat Mike Appa for a 40-yard strike to put 6 on the board after the convert failed. Mike Appa would then get attention from the offense and defense alike, as he would be targeted 6 more times, but only muster an additional 13 yards on 3 more catches. Clearly, I'm not reading stats right. I'm clearly I got the order all wrong. Apparently,
Yeah.
it would be Justin Calixte who would do the bulk of the damage for the team, named after a famed coloring pencil brand. Calixte had to take over QB duties on week 1. I wasn't there. I don't know why that was. But in an exchange that was seemingly as amicable as Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa, he would relinquish the reins back to Romano, whose 124.1 QB rating would prove enough to get beyond balls deep by a score of 37-31. Sometimes going balls deep isn't enough. Sometimes it's just not in the cards. And then I wrote that I would suggest foreplay for balls deep.
Right.
So, inflammatory? Terrible?
I'm still. We got to report you to management.
Yeah. And the only other thing I wrote was the first article. Vince Romano has an old school QB name. I'd 100% draft him in Madden if he was CPU generated. However, his play needs to live up to the legend I've created in my head that no one else knew about until now.
Oh, holy bleep. I have them this week for scorekeeping Friday.
Yeah.
Lavelle. Okay. All right. All right, guys.
So,
good to see you guys in action.
is it poor reading skills? Because his play's been good. So it's not poor play. It has to be poor reading skills. Like, is it just that I said that one thing about how he should score more points? Do you think you should score less points? I don't understand.
So here's my 2 cents, Vince. I'm watching this game. You're going to get exposed by a good defense at one point because the balls you're throwing are not good balls. You're getting lucky on a lot of them based on this footage that I'm watching right here. So that's my hot take on your team's record right now.
I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it over the weekend.
Holy cow, he's laboring out there throwing that football. Wow, man.
It got posted when I was already heading over to the studio, so I haven't seen it. I will see it. I'll break it down because I'm doing the mid-season write-ups. But, like, dude, honestly, I don't have a beef with you. I don't even see a thing. I've been meaner to more people than I've been to you guys.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, shout out to our
But thanks
boy.
for watching the show.
Shout out to our boy Chris Rivet and Nimrod for the Skycam look that they used with the drone, which was unveiled with some other games last week.
It's my favorite way to watch football. It's so good.
It is. I think it's phenomenal. Hopefully we can incorporate that for the road show. Maybe. You never know. I asked Nimrod about that. Maybe we could. But anyway, it's a cool video.
I'll only allow him if he wears pajama pants to operate.
He does.
But here's my 4-head thinking on this, or 5-head, or 4D chess, whatever it is. We just spent 10 minutes talking about Pincellos.
Yeah, now leave me alone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we're good.
He just took a ton of airtime for one Facebook comment.
Yeah.
So really, who's the genius here?
Well, no.
Pincellos.
Well, look, this is for the fans. This is for the players, right? So, like, we will highlight them. I got no problem with that. I was just, honestly, because I've said things that are inflammatory in the past, but this really doesn't seem to be any of them.
No. I just think that they're a bit upset that we didn't mention them directly.
So can we officially say Vince and give him the nickname Karen Romano?
Yeah, we can call him that. But look, I apologize. I'm busy with radio and weather and other things. I'll pay more attention to you guys.
But what did we... No. I refuse. Don't apologize for shit that didn't happen.
I will apologize. I'm going to put you guys above my real-life jobs of what I do for a living. And so you guys are now my forefront. So you know what? When we open up the show next week, it's all about the Pincellos for the first 25 minutes. We can do 25 minutes of Pincellos, right?
Well, we did 10. So.
We did 10, right? So we're gonna definitely... So that's about 40% of whatever our goal is. We're going to bomb the show next week and just talk Pincellos.
Yeah, in the words of my grandfather, FOH.
There you go. Okay, a Bad Batch. Since we've really kiboshed this whole division-y, Bad Batch...
I should have told you before you wrote the script. That's
okay,
what I was going to do.
Bad Batch right now, can you foresee them winning 3 of the final 5 games to get into the playoffs?
Well, obviously I can.
Here, my friend.
Obviously I can, because I picked them as my darling team for the season.
I know. Oscar's screwed me over again. Oscar makers.
But look, I'm not lagging that far behind you, Mo, because Oscar's Hockey School only has two wins.
I know.
They did get the win against the Bad Batch, though. Oh, no, sorry. That was Chevalier de Rohan. They got the win against Bad Batch this week.
Yeah, that's my team. Suck it.
It's going to be awful the rest of the way because Dilly Dilly is really, really good.
Oh, we can't talk about Dilly Dilly.
We can't talk about
them because we spoke
I can't
about
talk
far
about
too
the best
much.
teams in the division. Probably
Far
a team
too much.
that'll win the championship.
Can't talk about them.
A team that competed against Ravens without having, a Stan Marino and Ricardo de Rosier, which you can read about in my article coming up this week. But if you decide to do more than just Control F, you can read about it.
Of course.
The Bad Batch, play also blast from the past, and Frank Grenier will expose them because he's experienced and they're not. Blast in the cap, by the way. Read my article, find out why. Bad Batch also faces Save the Turtles, good team. Quatrium, who've gotten really good. Vincent Benjamin is getting better and better every week.
Yep.
And Melons, who we both really like.
Yeah, I like the uniforms. That's what I like about them.
I posted a picture of the Friendlies watermelon roll sorbet.
Yeah.
I said that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, they actually had watermelon for their win last week here
Nice.
in Laval. And I told them, guys, they're about to close off the license in 2 minutes, so they better get that bleep out before they do so.
Nobody likes eating melon in the dark.
Yeah, I just don't know where they can get 3 out of 5, right?
They can't.
No way. Blast from Pass, I agree with you. It'd be very tough for them. Maybe the last 2 games, but even at that, though, Melons is starting to improve game by game.
I would have said, if they would have played Quatrium and Melons early, they could have been wins.
Had them, yeah. Not now.
I think now, unfortunately, this might be an 0-10 team.
Exactly.
But listen, my first season, I was 0-9-1, so I know how to pick them, Mo.
Of course.
I know how to pick them.
Division A, Division B. Let's dive into that. We talk about how it's starting to shape up here where the Braves are running away with the division. They're going to probably be the number 1 seed in all likelihood. And now you got a holy trinity of teams at 3 losses. So when I look at, and taking away Chernobyl right now, when I look at All-Stars and Khantraband right now, if one of those teams land in the 3 spot or maybe the 4 spot, Peeze, do you have confidence that they can make it to the final, just to simply reach the finals from that?
Sorry, who is this?
With Khantraband and All-Stars.
So All-Stars, I was talking to Matt Kerouac this week. Kevin Wyeth is injured. He's having a shoulder issue. So he hasn't been himself, and part of the thing that makes Kevin Wyeth special is that fastball, right? Famously, like that ball gets in there quick, and that's one of the things that makes some of his throws completely indefensible. So if you notice here, Paul Lapierre took over, and Paul Lapierre will be quarterbacking for them for the short term. But that also removes Paul Lapierre as a receiver.
Yeah, you weaken your receiving.
They added Quay Johnson, which excellent.
Yeah.
But Paul Lapierre is a very specific kind of target, right? And Kevin Wyeth is a legendary FPF quarterback.
For sure.
So the thing is, to me, I've said this from the beginning, while I think All-Stars are strong and they have that Kevin Wyeth factor, I think the days of Kevin Wyeth in the red polo is done. The intimidation factor is not quite there. João Maheu now has that throne, but I think Khantraband are that next level behind. And I know...
But from a 3 spot, do you trust one of these teams to make it to the final, though? Like, we see Khantraband...
If it's Khantraband, I think so. Because Khantraband has all the talent in the world. So,
but All-Stars, no.
All-Stars, definitely not with Kevin Wyeth out. Did you see the game? Did you see how they lost to Chernobyl? That to me is surprising. I wasn't there for that game either. Definitely holler at us, let us know.
Yeah, think about Chernobyl. They lost 2 games to Division B squad, so they could have easily been 5-1 or 4-2 and being second place right now, than being 4th.
I saw Dave Santomo picking off Nick Santomo on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I forgot to download it for the show. That would have been a good video to put up.
Well, there's a big game coming up for Khantraband. They have Chernobyl coming up, and then All-Stars in the next 2 weeks. So we might have a separation of teams for that 3-win clog right now.
Do we know who the official quarterback of Chernobyl is? Or is it like a surprise?
I believe it's Pat Chenard, is it not?
Well, because like Pat Chenard's he's got the most attempts.
Santomo played a couple games.
Santomo and Roshdi's played a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess Pat Chenard. But I mean, so who would you rather go into battle with at quarterback?
Santomo.
He'd be my favorite too. And
yeah.
I mean, I think Pat Chenard would be number 3 for me. Not that Chenard's bad. Like he's still one of the best quarterbacks in the
He's not a refined quarterback like Santomo is. That's
and he doesn't have like nobody has Roshdi's mind, right?
No.
So you know, also having Pat Chenard as a receiver doesn't hurt either.
No, for sure not. Division B, when you look at it right now, Peeze, there are a cluster of 2-win teams right now. Who's the second best team? Like, who's going to get second place right now and going into the final 4 weeks? Because I saw BYOB give Urgence Medic a really good run for their money, and they were 1 play away from beating Urgence and perhaps being in a 3-way tie or 2-way tie for first place than being in 4th place.
Sorry, I was lagging on internet and I panicked and I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, BYOB.
Yeah.
They're 1 play away from being in a first place tie with Urgence Medic. So who can be the second place team going into the final 4 weeks?
Get off my D's impressing me. I didn't think they'd I mean, they have the same record as BYOB, but their play has impressed me. I thought they'd be a little off the pace here, and they've been that second tier team, right? With Here for Beers and BYOB.
It's crazy just how similar these teams are. Like even like the points for, points against are essentially the same for all the teams.
It's just that
4 to 5, right?
It's essentially what we have is Urgence Medzik is head and shoulders above the rest. We have the next 4 teams that are about the same and have the same like they all have an issue. There's all something about them that makes them not the next level. I thought BOILB would be up with them, and they haven't been. And Junkyard Dogs, we knew this would be an adjustment season for them, right? So the season's kind of played out like we thought. I'd like to say BYOB, but let's examine Here for a Beer for a second. Here for the Beers.
They've improved in the last couple of weeks.
They have, and I don't think they're much worse than BYOB. I really like the BYOB roster. But essentially, Sean Avram has been good, not spectacular, right? And the receiving core is about as good as you can get. But it's just lackluster, right? Like there's just what's you, Mo, when you see this team, what is missing from them that separates them, let's say, from Urgence Medzik? Is it on defense?
I just think it's Sean Avram's confidence. When he's on, he's very good. When he's off, like he's mentally shot when he's going up against better competition. And that happened against them.
Like psychs himself up, maybe?
Yeah, like when they played Braves, I believe, a couple weeks ago, got off to a slow start. They were down 2 scores. They made a run towards the end, but ended up losing. But I think they have the firepower to give fits to Urgence Medzik, who I think have weaknesses right now going into the final half of the season, because Urgence Medzik's last 4 games have been 1-score conclusions. So they can easily have been 1-5 right now at this point.
So you think Sean Avram's one of those guys where as his quarterback rating goes up, he gets worse?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like, yeah, because that's Sean Avram for you in a nutshell, right? I mean, he can be a really good quarterback and be lights out and be like, wow, this is what you call.
So he gets his Madden number and goes, I'm not that good. And
No.
then he shits the bed.
It's
Well,
like he's...
So the thing is, it's funny because I think his best season was when we were calling him the 11th best quarterback out of 10. So,
yeah.
well, I guess
No
when the
expectations. Yeah.
But honestly, his 2 wins came against Junkyard Dogs, right? And
that's big for tiebreaker purposes as well.
Yeah, I understand, but again,
But also it's like technically the worst team, quote unquote, in Division B, right? That you got your wins off of.
And so they play KGP this week. I think this will be the sort of gives us a barometer by which we can measure their success. Because if they can't get past KGP, then they really are just sort of a team. Nothing special, nothing great.
And they get their Medzik back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, but
in
again, we don't expect them to beat Urgence Medzik. But if we can see them competitive and maybe say like, hey, you know what? There's a path for them to be successful in the playoffs or in the finals.
Yeah.
Sure, great. But to me, the game against KGP, the game against BYOB, that's where we're going to really see, and I'm talking about games week 7 and 10, that's where we're really going to see if they can show us that, hey, they're that next year after Urgence Medzik. Right. I don't think anyone thought Urgence Medzik wouldn't be the favorite to win the division, right?
No, but I think now for Urgence Medzik, they've been a little bit sloppy, not closing out games as efficiently as they should be. And I think now moving towards their final remainder of games, I want to see that killer instinct in how they are. I want to see them muscle the way through like they have in years past with this core roster that they have.
I mean, they beat All-Stars 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. Look, the last 4 games have been by 1-score conclusions. So they can easily be...
But the thing is, like, 3 of those 4 games were against Div A teams.
Yeah.
So to me, like, it's cool that Urgence Medzik slumming it, but they're a Div A team.
Yeah. Yeah, and anyway, we'll see what happens.
It's pretty clear to me. They're in the wrong division.
For sure. It is now time for...
Games of the Week.
Now, what is the current standings of the Games of the Week numbers here?
Actually, I don't think Iggy posted it this week.
He hasn't updated.
Vacation.
He's on vacations in St. Louis.
But he will be tracking them, so we will have them ready.
I'm pretty sure beating Mo.
I actually went up Peeze. If you look at Iggy's article, if you get his article up here, Eagle, before we go to
your game up.
Yeah, because I'm one up on
Yeah.
PC.
But I'm still winning though.
We'll see what
I'm
happens.
winning in spirit.
All right, here we go.
The reason why, by the way, is because I keep having to pick the bad batch.
I know. Bad Patch has been your downfall.
Damn you guys!
Yes, you guys. All right, Oscars, let's get that win for us.
So we're going to do these in reverse order that we normally do, all right?
Awesome.
So we're going to start with co-ed today. Sriracha hot chili sauce fighting tigers.
Fighting Tigers.
I'm going to go Sriracha.
Okay.
Power Rangers, they're down for what?
That's a
Game of
great
the week
game.
from Alexi.
Is it actually game of the week though? Or? No, I don't know.
It's
not
in
that.
Brossard.
Let's go. Okay. that
Third
doesn't
down.
help me. Give me third down for what?
Third down for what?
Fantastic 9, Yin and Yang.
Fantastic 9.
Yin and Yang.
Les Semi-Croquants, La Secte.
Semi-croc.
We're going to go Division E. Save the Turftles, Les Chevaliers du Rohan.
Turtles.
Turfed.
Trailer Park Boys, Oscars Hockey School.
Oscars.
Well, Antoine Meunier is hurt. He got hurt after the first play of game of the week. I don't think he's back yet. In that case, give me who are they playing against?
Oscars Hockey School.
Give me the hockey school.
Balls Deep, V-Town.
V-Town.
Balls deep look good this week. V-Town.
Pincellos, Menace to Sobriety.
I so want to pick against
I
Pincellos,
know.
but I want to win the game, so I'll pick Pincellos.
Yeah, I'll take Pincellos.
Rainmakers, Suicide Squad.
Rainmakers are playing good football now.
Suicide Squad's really good. Give me Suicide Squad.
Green means go, Brewers.
GMG.
Green means go.
Dilly Dilly, The Bad Batch.
Dilly Dilly.
Dilly, I can't.
Les Mythiques, Quantrium FFC.
Quantrium.
I'm going to Quantrium, yeah.
Ravens, Oreos.
Oh, man. Ravens. Orioles have been stumbling the late.
Ravens. Unless Trey Bentley's quarterback. Ravens.
Blast from the Past, Melons.
Flash from the past.
Melons.
Division D, Mean Girls, Kiss My End Zone.
Mean Girls.
Kiss my hands.
Arouch, Blackouts.
Arouch.
PDs and Negronis, Loyola.
PDs and Gronies.
Agreed.
Les Bleus Branleurs, Top Season.
Top season.
Top season.
Glow Gang, Replacements.
Glow Gang.
Go Gang Gap.
Tough Lungs, Ball in 60s.
Tough lungs.
Bruins, Sparrows Legion.
Bruins.
Bruins, yeah.
Lockdown, The Stoics.
Lockdown. I'm going Lockdown.
Two underperforming teams, huh? Lockdown.
Voodoo, The New Guys.
I want to pick against you guys again for narrative, but I'll pick the new guys because they're really good.
Yeah, I'm going New Guys.
Vultures, Johnny Fireball.
In the words,
Oh,
in
False
the,
Kings.
in the words of the greatest songwriter to ever
Vultures.
grace America, Fireball. I just went for the joke there.
Vultures.
But yeah, give me Fireball.
Trap Stars, Hot Sauce Sports.
House of Sports by 50, but I can't pick it.
Oh, wow. You guys are playing Trap Stars this week, huh?
We have a decimated roster though, so don't pick
I'm
it.
going Trap Stars.
Yeah. Like they'd probably win anyway, but definitely this week.
Clinkers, The Fighting Illini.
Eleni.
Illini.
Pardon My Swag, Los Siete Amigos.
It's a good game.
Pardon my swag.
I'm going PMS.
Tuts and Parlays, The
You always do more.
Leftovers.
Tuts and who?
Tuts and Parlays, The Leftovers.
Tuts.
Tuts.
Division C, Les Gros Coq, Mangoose.
Grocock.
Same.
Sheeesh, Blue Dreamers.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Silent Ticklers, ECW.
Easy W.
Silent Ticklers.
Blue Dreamers, Balls Deep.
Oh, playing twice this week.
Yeah.
Oh,
They are back-to-back in Brossard.
who is it? Sorry.
Blue Dreamers, Balls Deep. Blue Dreamers back-to-back.
Give me Blue Dreamers.
Blue
for that
Dreamers,
one.
yeah.
The Infantry, Top Sauce.
Infantry.
Infantry, yeah.
Blessed, Les Centaures.
Blessed.
Bounce back for Blessed.
The South Harmon Institute of Technology, B-Ballers.
Shit.
B-ballers.
And Division A and B, here for the beers, KGP.
Beer.
Here for the beers.
Braves, Chernobyl 21.
Braves.
Chernobyl 21, Khantraband and a back-to-back in Lachine.
Contraband.
That's a rough night.
All-Stars, Braves.
Braves.
That is not a back-to-back, but it's two different fields, so that's
Yeah,
going to
Braves.
be
Yeah.
fun. Junkyard Dogs, Get Off RD.
Good off for D.
Get off RD.
And Urgence Medic, BYOB.
Urgence Midzik.
Yeah, medic for me, please.
And there we go.
All right. Okay, so yeah, that's it for now. But a reminder, one thing I want to bring up quickly here, guys, bring your uniforms with numbers, legit numbers on the back of it. We're at a point now where we're past the halfway point of the year. We don't want guys to lose games played for because they weren't wearing a proper uniform, and that means you don't become playoff eligible. You need 5 to be eligible, so wear a proper uniform, please. That is all. Match voice, please.
That is all.
The Canadian.
You want to do it again right into the camera?
Sure. Look at him. I'm blended into the thing.
Yeah. The Canadian women beat the beat the American women in soccer.
Good night, Sweden.
That's what I said about Sweden.
Sweden. We'll see what happens. They're gonna move that game apparently. It's like in the middle of the night now.
Yeah, there was complaining about the heat weather.
Yeah, it's pretty bad though.
Apparently, this is acceptable climate according to the bid that they made to the Olympic Committee.
It is not acceptable climate to scientists.
No.
Correct.